Well, hello, friends, and welcome once again to another edition of Pray on This. As always, before we get going, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications. It doesn't hurt you any, and it certainly helps the channel. If you're not comfortable with YouTube anymore, please join me on Rumble. You can find me there by just typing in all one word, no space, Pray on This. So, we had a major announcement yesterday, and for those who think that this is just a personal matter, you're wrong. The Prime Minister and his wife Sophie have announced that they have legally separated and will be moving on in their lives separately and getting a divorce. For those who feel that this is a non-political thing and we shouldn't talk about it, I'm sorry, but you're incorrect. And the reason I say that is that Justin Trudeau has always made his family and his devotion and his values to his family part of his political brand. However, on a personal note, I have sympathy for the Prime Minister. I have that because I myself went through a divorce, officially starting in 2018 and ending legally in 2020 due to COVID. What I will say is this, is that when I look back on it, my huge marital issues began in late 2015, early 2016, and they festered for a couple of years before my wife, in my mind, out of the blue, asked me for a divorce. I was shocked. I was hurt. I suffered anxiety, depression. I suffered insomnia. A lot of my attitudes changed that moment in time. I became more curt, less courteous. My temper was much more short. And I definitely had the opinion that you're either with me or against me. And if you appeared to be against me, I would be highly critical. I wouldn't care about your feelings, and I would be verbally aggressive in putting you down. I also drank a lot more. No, I did not rise to the level of being an alcoholic. And no, I didn't try any substances other than that. But there was a lot of nights that I felt I needed that drink so I could calm down and go to sleep. There was a lot of nights that needing that drink was needing 4 or 5 drinks. If you take a look at what I just described that I became and you compare it to the actions of our Prime Minister, especially during the 2021 election and moving forward, you see a lot of the same sorts of behaviors. And I have to say that when I look back on the patterns of my life, the curtness, the short temper, the ability to fly off the handle, to not think before I spoke and act without thinking, really started in 2016 and continued right through until the situation was full and complete, and also me needing to talk with a therapist about how I was feeling at the time. It was about a 4-year process. Started 2 years before my ex-wife and I made the decision to separate, which, quite truthfully, when I look back, was not my decision. I was told that I was getting a divorce, which is quite common in this country. 75% of divorces are initiated by the wife. And quite truthfully, being a layman looking from the outside, but I would suggest that that's what's happened here. And I would also suggest that a lot of what went on during COVID, a lot of the decisions that Justin made, a lot of the nastiness, I would suggest that it wasn't just his feelings towards COVID. It was it was showing that there was something wrong with the man, and that we didn't know what it was. We just thought that he was just being a zealot. I'm going to suggest now that what it really was the hurt and pain he was going through as his marriage started to crumble. And I bring this forward because I looked back on clips over the last 24 hours, and Sophie was very much active in his rise in the Liberal Party. She was there with him during his leadership campaign, even when she was pregnant with their final child. She was very much part of his campaign in 2015, bringing the new Trudeau baby along with her, and bringing the two boys. She was also very, very much evident during the 2019 campaign. And she's also been very active in his political life and in the Liberal Party, both because of Justin, but also of her own accord. But quite truthfully, the signs would have been there for us all to see a lot more clearly had it not been for COVID. COVID became a convenient excuse for, oh, the Prime Minister's not traveling with his family and his wife is not campaigning with him because she's, because of COVID protocols. And yet, when we look back, Jagmeet Singh and his wife campaigned together quite a bit. Aaron O'Toole and his wife campaigned together quite a bit. And Henri Paul of the Green Party had her husband with her an awful lot. I did not pay attention to Maxime Bernier nor Yves Blanchet of the Bloc Québécois during the 2021 election, but I'm assuming their spouses were with them as well. I would also suggest that a lot of the just demanding behavior, shall we say, and outright lies. So when we take a look at Bill C-21 and no, I'm going to get those guns, and then the beginning of, we're not going after hunters' guns. Oh, well, yeah, we're going to take away some guns that are being used now for hunting, but we'll pay you for them and you can buy other guns. That's not the Justin Trudeau from before. And I'm not defending this man. For those of you who have followed me, you know that I would, on the political, professional basis, I would slit his throat proverbially to his political career. And I would do it in a heartbeat if I had anything good to use. I will do everything in my power to destroy this man politically. I have no ill will towards him personally, and I'm just looking at his behavior, especially over the last 2 years, then comparing it to my own. And I see the pattern now. I didn't see it before. And I think a lot of people who are divorced, especially men, who got the I want a divorce and were shocked that their former spouse wanted a divorce, will know exactly what I'm talking about. Which leads me into my next segment. Should Justin Trudeau continue on as the Prime Minister? No. And I'm not saying that simply because I think he's a cockwomble and corrupt and incompetent. What I'm saying is that on top of being all those things, he's not mentally fit right now. He will be hurt, angry, and looking for victories. And a victory is a victory when you're in this mental state of mind. And he won't care who he hurts in the process to get it. That's pretty obvious by calling people who didn't get vaccinated racist, homophobic, misogynistic, transphobic. They're anti-science. No, they're not. They're none of those things. That was just words you used. It's calling uh, the trucker convoy freedom a bunch of fringe Canadians whose opinion didn't matter. On that first weekend, you had over 100,000 Canadians who just wanted to express their opinion that enough was enough. I agree that they should have gone home after that, but you treated them like they were nothing. And then you went on to demonize them with garbage. Just absolute garbage that was unbecoming a man in your position. And you know it. But when I look back, I now see the reason that you were being so unreasonable. I see the reason now why passing Bill C-11 was not just, it had to get done. You wouldn't even wait for the Governor General to sign it. You used an extreme and obscure clause in our Constitution to have the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court sign it into law the very day it was passed. And then you ran through Bill C-18, and when you've taken pushback on it, a law that most legal scholars say is one of the worst crafted laws they've ever seen and is censorship, and that both 11 and 18 probably will not stand up to charter challenges. You've been rude, you've been curt, you just want everything your own way, and I get it now. You need those wins because you've been losing at home. So that brings me into this portion. Should Justin Trudeau continue on as the Prime Minister of this country? I would say no. And I would say no because he's not thinking clearly now. His judgment is off. His ability to do what is best in terms of him getting a win, regardless of who's hurt, and regardless of whether or not that win is in the best interest of his people. Well, that judgment's out the window. I would say physically looking at him that we have seen the fluctuations in weight go up and down over the last 2 years. We have seen that it's very obvious that he isn't sleeping. We have seen his nose start to expand, and there's been several times that he's spoken for short periods of time at the mic where I'm positive that he's either been definitely under the influence of alcohol or some other substance for the pain that you experience when you go through marital breakdown. This man should not be running a G7 country. That could be said with the evidence of the last 7 years of his work. But now it's even far more obvious that a man in his mental state should not be running. I've had it suggested to me that Justin and his wife, that this is all a ploy. Their marriage has been a sham for several years, and that they're just releasing it now because Justin has nothing left to campaign on, so he's going for the sympathy vote. I think that that's a ridiculous idea. There will be people with far greater than just a BA in psychology talking on the news about the effects of a divorce on a man and whether or not they're thinking clearly and whether or not that they would be in the best mental state to do their job. That this could be twisted well against you and end up not being in your favor. So using this as a sympathy vote makes no sense to me. It also doesn't work as an excuse for your bad management of the country over the last 8 years. It might work for 1 or 2, but not for 8. So what do I think? Well, I think for the good of the Liberal Party of Canada that Justin Trudeau should ask them to immediately declare a leadership contest to replace him, and that he should unequivocally resign when a new leader is selected, and that he demand that they put time limits on it of no more than 6 months. I would suggest that he step back and allow a group of senior ministers to act in his stead, and that he start to move forward in his life. He has 3 small children that need their father, and he has a personal mess on his hands that needs to be cleaned up, and he's in no position to be running a government. To continue on would be a disservice to the Liberal Party of Canada because their leader is not going to be able to give them their best. It is a disservice to those who work for the party and those who volunteer for the party. It will hurt them even greater when it comes to trying to fundraise. It is a complete disservice to the members of caucus and those who are seeking election for the Liberal Party of Canada in the next election. And it is a disservice to every Canadian in this country. But we're talking about Justin Trudeau. So, I think he actually will go for it. I think he will try and use this as a bit of a ploy for sympathy and try to excuse some of his brutal policies, especially of the last 2 years, on the fact that he was suffering marital breakdown and that now he's in a better place, and give him a 4th chance. I don't think it'll work. And I think that it's time that if Justin won't remove himself from office, that it's time that we Canadians remove him. We have a much more clear, much more viable option as the leader of the opposition than we have as the Prime Minister. He's younger. He's in a happy, solid marriage. He has the family social safety net to keep him grounded. He is thoughtful. He has good policies. And he's not mentally, emotionally, and physically damaged. And it's very obvious that our Prime Minister is. So, sir, to you, Justin Trudeau, personally, I wish you no ill will. I want to tell you that life will get better, but to do so, you need to take time for yourself. And that does not include being the Prime Minister of a major G7 country. You need to step back. You need to get right with yourself. And you need to find a new direction moving forward. If anybody at the Liberal Party of Canada thinks that this is a great strategy, putting this man out there and try to get the sympathy vote, his wife didn't die. She left him. If anything, this is going to give the opposition even more ammunition. Don't do it, because it will be devastating for you. And for everything else, let's just get at it. Let's have an election this fall and get it over and done with. Because much like the death of Trudeau's marriage, this government is dead too. That, as always, is pray on this. I hope you all have a wonderful summer and a wonderful month of August. And in my opinion, the most wonderful month of all. Used to solely be my month in my family, with the 14th being my birthday. However, I now share the month with my niece Chloe, who's on the 18th. So while on the 14th, I will be celebrating my 54th birthday. 4 days later, my young niece, my youngest brother's oldest child, becomes the age of majority and can legally have her first drink in the province of Ontario. So to all of you, I wish you a happy and wonderful what's left of summer. And to my niece, I wish you a happy 19th birthday, and I hope that you're one of the few who remembers it. And to myself, a happy 54th birthday. I'll see you all on the next one. And I've just given up now on trying to take the summer off, because it seems to me that politics of this summer is most definitely front and center. God bless you all and have a great day.